In this video, we're talking about Res Arcana on Board Game Arena. So tonight, my buddy Scott and I, we jumped on our computers, we signed into Board Game Arena, and we played Res Arcana. Res Arcana is a goods conversion game where you're going to be collecting essences and transmuting them into different essences to then get places of power or monuments to gain victory points to win the game. The game is going to end when a player has collected 10 or more victory points and the round ends. And then whoever has the most victory points is going to be the winner of the game. It's an engine building game that's reminiscent of games like Century Spice Road or maybe even Splendor, but there's something special to this game. As soon as you start the game, you realize that there are all of these limitations around what you can do in the game. There's a lot of things in the game. You have your artifact cards, you have your magical items, you have your places of power, and you have your monuments. Each of those aspects of the game are fairly limited. You're only going to have a deck of 8 artifact cards. You're only going to be able to use 1 magical item per round, and at the end of the round you'll have to trade that in for a new magical item. There's only going to be 5 places of power in view at any given time, and once that one is taken, they are not replenished. And then the monuments, you're only going to see 2 of them at any given time, although they are replenished. But all these limitations combine into a really tight strategic puzzle. So 50% of the game is the very first thing you do, which is drafting cards to build a deck of 8 cards, and those are the only 8 cards that you are going to be playing with throughout the entire game. And then the other 50% or less of the game are the whole 4 to 6 rounds that you're going to be playing, where you are trying to pull off the strategy that you determined that you were going to use at the beginning of the game. So this is really cool and makes for a really exciting beginning of the game where you're getting cards in your hand. You're like, okay, well that can combo with that and this can combo with this. But it's also really tense because you're hoping that your opponent or opponents don't take the cards that you really need to continue leveraging the strategy that you're looking at. As you're drafting, you might find yourself pivoting, or you might find yourself even setting up 2 viable strategies so that you have your main strategy you'll be going for and then your backup if that goes south. The disadvantage of a lot of the game being right at the front end when you're setting up your deck is that it can sometimes feel like you're on autopilot as you're playing the game. You've kind of built your strategy right from the beginning, the first few turns or the first round. You've kind of made sure that everything is in place for that strategy to go off. And then for the rest of the game, you're on autopilot, barring any interference from other players, which could happen. So the game is set up to really make you focus on a strategy that you play throughout the entire game, but it also provides all these opportunities for you to get distracted from your strategy. And so that's a delightful thing to have happen as you're playing the game, where you're not sure if your strategy that you've chosen is really the best one, or if you should try and pivot and do some other things that the game is providing for you. As tight and as lovely as the mechanics of this game there is a major markdown for both Scott and I, and that's the theme of this game. So the theme of the game is that you're a bunch of mages in your own spaces doing magic in your own way to try and be the best mage or magician or whatever the case may be. But the different variety of magics that they've chosen lends a lot from the occult. So there's lots of pentagrams or human skulls or severed hands with flaming candles on them. The imagery is quite dark, and the kind of magic that you're imagining that you're doing is quite dark, kind of blood sacrifice type stuff here and there. Some of the magic that's introduced is very kind of natural, organic, beautiful, fairy stuff. Some of it is kind of more mechanical or potion-y, and then others is this occultish kind of magic that gets seeped into the game. So Scott and I both found ourselves feeling uncomfortable putting ourselves in the shoes of these mages doing these magical acts that were kind of on the darker or more sinister side of things. So yes, while the theme could have been a lot of different things, they chose to go with this theme. And so as a player of this game, I find myself sucked into this theme and sucked into this world. And it doesn't feel good when I'm using some of these items and I realize that it might be at the expense of another person's life, or I might have to be worshiping some demons in order to pull off this magical ability that I'm trying to use. I just had to say it just didn't feel great for me playing the game with a theme like this on it. And you know what? It just leaves me wondering why they didn't choose a more accessible theme for a game that is so smooth and such a delight to play. It's really neat that we're able to play a game like this on Board Game Arena, but it comes with its own set of challenges and benefits. So one of the benefits of playing on Board Game Arena is that the website does a lot of the bookkeeping for you. So you don't have to be collecting resources yourself or tallying points yourself. All of that happens automatically. But a disadvantage of playing on this website is that sometimes when you click a button, you've done your move and you can't go back or redo or undo the move that you've made. So there was a couple of times where I chose a card or accidentally switched what card I was choosing and ended up with a card that I didn't want. So here's the deal with Res Arcana. It is an awesome game, really fun to play. We really enjoy playing it on Board Game Arena. Scott and I are going to play it on Board Game Arena again, I'm sure, but neither of us are comfortable owning this game because the theme is a little bit too dark and will scare our families away. Thank you so much, everybody. If you like this quick review, please consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, liking the video, and sharing the video with someone else. On this channel, I do board game reviews, I do top 10 lists, and I do board game news. And so if you're interested in any or all of those things, please come back and see me again. Until then, have the best day.